Okay, welcome to the Lazy Cook. I'm going to do a green chili salsa, green chili sauce. This one's really good for kebabs or for just serving with just about any kind of barbecue, that sort of thing. But you decide for yourself when you see it. Alright, what I've been doing is I've been buying these little bags of mixed chilies. I picked these up from Aldi, my local Aldi, and what I do is, well, I'll freeze them instantly, and then what I'll do is I'll separate out the green from the red, and I'll put the red into another bag, and you've seen me use those in my red chili sauces, so they'll go back in the freezer now, and I'll just use these kind of chilies, the green ones, for this dish. So what I've got here are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 Egyptian green chilies of various size. These are a bit like jalapeno chilies, not terribly hot, and they're not what I would call mild either, so they're somewhere in between. So in addition to that, I've got the ubiquitous garlic, which is really good in all chili sauces. I've got about 6 cloves of garlic there. Going round, I've got some xanthan gum, which will stabilise it. If you've seen my other chili sauce recipes, you will have seen that. I've got some white vinegar. I've got a whole bunch of spring onions or green onions. I have got about 1/3 of a cucumber, which is sitting in my fridge, and I've got a use for. And I've also got, right, this is quite an important ingredient because it means you're not throwing stuff away. What I've got here are the stalks from coriander, from fresh coriander, which I've just frozen. And then I've told you in my other videos, don't throw your stalks away, we keep them for things. And this is one of the things for which we keep them. Alright, so we'll put that in there just for now. I've also got some sugar to balance the chili and to balance the garlic. I've also got I've got corning salt here, but any kind of salt will do. Sea salt, Himalayan salt will do. So here we are. Right, I'll quickly start chopping stuff up. The garlic can go directly into the food processor, and I'll chop up the spring onions into large enough pieces to go into the food processor. They go in. That goes in. Make sure they're washed and cleaned, of course. The cucumber I will just roughly chop. Cucumber has a nice cooling element to it, and it also adds some volume in terms of liquid to the sauce. What I do with these is I just rinse them. I normally like to let them defrost a little bit, but I'll just rinse them and get back to you. Okay, what I'm going to do with these, I'm just going to take the tops off and then chop them roughly. Okay, so, and then I cut them lengthways, put a couple of chops through them, and the only bit I throw away is the actual stalk. So I'll get back to you when that's all chopped up. Okay, that's all the 8 chilies chopped up and added to the food processor. Likewise with the frozen coriander stalks. You can use fresh or frozen, doesn't matter. Get it all in there. And don't worry, because it looks piled up high, but don't worry, it'll compact down as soon as we start whizzing it. For a start, that cucumber will turn to liquid, as will most of the other stuff. And now we add in, I'm adding a full shot glass of vinegar and another one. I want this, for this volume, I want plenty of vinegar. Vinegar acts as a preservative. There you go, that's about as good as we're going to get, isn't it? I've got more vinegar if I need it, but I'll taste it just before I bottle it. And for this amount, I want about 2 teaspoons of salt. I'm using corning salt here, it doesn't really matter. You see it's ever so slightly pink. That's because of the iodine that's in sea salt. I've used 2 teaspoons of sugar in this one because it's a much larger batch than the red one we did. So that's ready to go in the food processor. We'll give it a whiz and I'll show you the results. Just a quick one before I whiz that up and show you the results. The xanthan gum, I don't want to add that until I've seen how liquid that turns out. So I'm just going to blitz that and I'll get back to you. Okay, here it is all blitzed up. This is a lid which goes on top in my particular food processor, and it helps it to blend better. But you'll see now that it's formed a thick sludge, a thick salsa, and when you look at it, it's not 100% removed from Caribbean green seasoning. Really, it's got similar elements in it, but it's not exactly the same. And I'm sure the Caribbean people out there will be nodding at the moment. However, what I want to do now is I want to stabilise that, because as that ages now over a couple of days, that is going to get darker and it's going to get less foamy, and all that foam will turn to liquid. So in order to stabilise it, we're going to add just a tiny bit of xanthan gum. And you've seen this fella before. This is I buy this from Suma, and I normally just order it online from Amazon or somewhere like that, or the spice companies. And what I do is I take a tiny bit. You don't need a lot of xanthan gum, and on the tip of a spoon, like that. In fact, that's probably too much. I need about that much. So there we go. There's just a tiny bit on the tip of a spoon. Yeah, and I'll get that in, and then I've got to go and whiz it again, and I'll get back to you. Okay, there we have it whipped up. Let me just drop that out. It's really good. Xanthan gum, as a stabiliser, it performs a very similar function to stabilisers like cornstarch or tapioca or potato starch does in hot sauces, you know, because you add those, but they need to be cooked before they begin their stabilising effect. Well, this actually stabilises in a cold salsa like this. So you'll find that's nice and loose. That's going to pour very easily, and I'm actually rather pleased with that. That looks rather good. So let me just, for demonstration's sake, tip some out into a bowl, which I have right here, and just to show you how that looks. Bearing in mind this will darken considerably as it ages. You know, if I come back to it in a couple of hours' time, you'll see. So there you are. It's a nice consistency sauce. I'm now going to taste that for my own, just to see if I need any final adjustment. It's salty, it's tangy, oh, it's relatively hot and chilli like, but it's not overbearingly so, and it's ever so slightly sweet and sour. I'm perfectly happy with that, because I know that is going to mature over the next couple of hours or day into something even better than it is right now. You can use it straight away. You can put it in a sterilised bottle and keep it in your fridge. Because it's got vinegar, because it's got sugar, and because it's got salt in it, it's well preserved, so it should keep as long. If you're like me, if you love your chilli, and I think you do because you're watching this video, I don't think this is going to last long in your fridge anyway, so I would think it'd be good for a good couple of weeks in your fridge. But if in doubt, throw it out. That's the rules. Okay, so a green chilli salsa. That's really good on kebabs, barbecue, cooked meat, cold meat, whatever you like. Particularly good on rice dishes. And there it is, all jarred up and ready to put in the fridge. Superb. You can preserve this longer by sticking the whole jar, minus the lid, in your oven and heating it up to about 80 degrees Celsius. Leave it there for a few minutes, about 40 minutes, and then take the jar out, put a sterilised lid on it, close it, and as it cools off, the nipple inside the lid, on the lid, sorry, should vacuum seal itself. If that doesn't happen, you've got to treat it like a fresh sauce, but if it does happen, that will keep virtually indefinitely. Keep it in a dark place so you don't lose that beautiful green colour, and then just crack it open, and then you'll have a more mature flavoured sauce for use. Anyway, there you go, green salsa, green chili salsa. Enjoy.